everybody? You're kicking it with the Junkyard Dog on junkyarddogs.com. My name is Tony, and today we're going to be talking about intakes, more specifically the GT40 intake. Now, this is a popular upgrade for 5.0 Mustangs. For all those out there who are running a stock intake, get rid of it. Throw it in the garbage. It's trash, okay? So look, the GT40 intake will give you Cobra-like specs for like half of the price. Now, you could always go for a trick flow, or you can go for an Edelbrock intake or whatnot, but you're going to be spending $500–600. Now, I can show you guys how to get an intake, spend $100, clean it up, make it smart compliant, and get a little bit more horses. So right now, we're going to head to the junkyard and get it started, all right?
Find it and explore. You got a Mercury. It's got the GT40 intake in there, but let me see this gap here. This is a non-EGR version, so for states that don't worry about smart compliance, this is like perfect right here, but we're not gonna grab this. Okay, we're over here by the trucks. Oh, see an Explorer right here. 78. Let's see this one. Oh yeah, looks like we're on Texas. And it's the EGR version, so let's go ahead and check this out. All right, man, so we got the intake out of the yard, man. We got it back here in the shop. You got the this is the upper intake, this is the lower intake, okay? Now, just to explain the differences between the two, there's two types of GT40 intakes, okay? This is an EGR version. Now, first way to tell when you're in the yard whether it's EGR or not, an EGR intake is going to have, it's going to be solid right here, just like this one that you see. And the non-EGR is going to have a gap right here, actually a cutout. Okay, I actually think I showed you guys that early in the video, that it had a cutout, and one that we were looking at in the junkyard. Another way to tell, once you remove the throttle body and the plate that's right here, is this little hole right here. See it? Okay, so this hole is an EGR hole that leads to this EGR hole in the upper intake. This is the upper intake, okay? In the upper intake, you're also going to find, this hose here is for EGR as well. It comes out the back of the intake. These are vacuum lines. This is for the, if I remember correctly, the brake booster. This is another vacuum line, and this is another vacuum line, and this down here is another vacuum line. Now, most often the time you don't use this, so you have to block it off. If you don't block it off, the engine will run really bad, okay? All right, so that's the upper intake. Boom. So, all right, so now we're looking at the lower intake here, GT40 intake. What I always liked about these intakes is the staggered ports here at the top. I always liked the way that looked. So anyway, really good intake. Flows almost the same as a Cobra intake. I think it's like 2 CFM less. Like, it's really like not significant enough to count. And it really performs well with a really good port job. Okay, this is good for a stockish motor. You bolt it on and it'll give you maybe 10-15 horsepower. depending on you know, your cam and whatnot. Okay, because if you don't have a cam that's going to accommodate for more air going in, it doesn't really make a difference. Now the thing is about these intakes, they bolt right in, but you do have to make provisions to fit it to the 5.0 wiring harness. One of those provisions would be right here at this boss that you see. Bring it up close so you can check it out. See that? Okay, right there is where you would drill what they call the ACT sensor, or drill and tap a hole for the ACT sensor, the air charge temperature sensor, so you know exactly what that is. What that does is it regulates the air fuel mixture so that it's always burning its most efficient. Okay, if you do not have that or do not install that, it will run like crap, guys. I'm telling you, please do not skip this step. Okay, to drill and tap this hole, you have to start with a small drill. I usually start with a center drill, like a machinist tool or whatnot, and I start with a center drill and then move up to 9/16 drill bit, okay, which is really big. You should definitely go slow. You don't want to crack the aluminum, or you don't want to break the bit, or you don't want to break your wrist, you know, because it'll catch, okay. Then after you get a 9/16 drilled through, then you tap it with a 3/8 NPT tap, okay. So that's that tap is kind of difficult to get in there because it's so big. You need a lot of force, but just take your time, use cutting fluid, and you should be fine. Okay, the next thing about these intakes that you definitely want to keep an eye out for is, see this boss back here? You see that? Okay, now that is used for the coolant return line when you're running the coolant through your throttle body. Okay, there's a line that goes through your throttle body and back into the intake. I like to keep things as stock as I can, so you can drill and tap that with the same 9/16 and a 3/8 NPT tap, and you can go on ahead and just buy an you know, go to a plumbing store or whatever and get the fitting that fits in there, so you can actually hook up the hose, put on the clamp, and make it work for you. Excuse me. All right, so yeah, man, GT40 intakes, man, you gotta save them. Stop sending these things and crushing them and melting them and send them to China, guys. You gotta keep these, man. You know, this is free horsepower. I mean, this is cheap horsepower in the junkyard, man, all day long. All right, that's how we do. Junkyard dogging.